So we're starting this practice tonight, hi Becky, lying back on a bolster. I've elevated the bolster at the end. Soles of my feet are together, knees out to the side. You could place bricks underneath each thigh if you have hypermobile hips or if you want to stabilize the hips. And maybe place something under your head. Take some time to settle into your body. Casting your attention around the body to notice where there's tightness, where there's tiredness and tension. Maybe across your forehead. Maybe around the jaws. Maybe around the eyes if you've been reading a lot or spending a lot of time on the screen. And you could notice the muscles up and down your spine gradually giving themselves to the bolster. And releasing a little into the hips. Allowing your shoulders to drop a little. So you feel a gradual and passive opening across the chest. If at any point it's uncomfortable for you to have your knees apart, just lengthen your legs. That's absolutely fine. You still get the beautiful passive restorative back bend, heart opening pose. But maybe you've come to your practice tonight with a particular desire, particular wish, a particular longing. Maybe to rest deeply. Or to settle and find some space after a busy week. Can you ask yourself the question of what you really need, not with your head, but with your heart? And form a beautiful intention for your practice. And keep softening. Keep trusting the support beneath you. And gathering your attention gently around the quality of the breath right now. Feeling it in your nostrils. Feeling how it moves to the back of your nose, down to the back of your throat, into the trachea, separating into each lung. And then comes out again, same way it came in. For now, simply noticing how the body receives the breath, how you feel the breath as sensation in the body, and how the body returns the breath to the space around you. The more intimate you can become with the breath, the more profound your practice. The more your thoughts will settle and your body will settle. Only if you would like to, bringing the pads of your thumbs and forefingers lightly together, allowing the remaining fingers to stretch out. And you may begin to notice now, or you may like to guide your breath into the abdomen, into the lower abdomen. Without force, just coming into gentle abdominal breathing, your diaphragm flattening on your abdominal organs as you breathe in. And releasing back under the ribs as you breathe out. Being aware that as we breathe, we're breathing in all dimensions. You can feel the breath out to the front, out to the back, and also out to each side. And a full band around this lower part of the torso. And continue for a few rounds of this abdominal breathing, all the while softening in the back of your throat and softening all the tissues of your face. And then if you're including your hands in your practice, curl the rest of your fingers in towards the palms. And just press the pads of your fingers very lightly into the palms. You're not squeezing. We now bring our attention to the whole of the chest, middle section, really as far up from the solar plexus to the center of the heart space. So you guide your breath into this middle section, remembering that you're expanding and releasing front, back, and sides. And never forcing anything. Keeping your attention intimately close to the flow of the breath, the sensations of the breath. Keep softening. Should be able to feel the back of your ribs really expanding against your bolster or your cushion. And then you can open your hands out and take your thumbs across the palms, wrapping your fingers gently around your thumbs like a little sausage roll. And the attention now is from the heart space up to each shoulder, the very top of the chest. Again, as you breathe, focusing to the front, the back and the sides of this area. You might feel it in the armpits. Not forcing anything. If you're using your hands, you're going to place the backs of your fingers together and place the sides of the hands down around the area of the solar plexus, so that when you look at your hands, you can see your fingernails and the tops of the fingers. This is all optional, of course. And now we come to feel the whole breath. So imagine your torso as a balloon. You're going to slowly breathe into the bottom section of your balloon. And then continue that same breath into the midsection and all the way to the top. And then allow the breath out of your balloon, section by section, a steady flow. And continue in this way for a few rounds, remembering to breathe to the front, the back, and to each side of the torso. It can be more fluid to imagine that you're filling your balloon with water rather than air. That way you may not over inflate. You don't want to burst your balloon. Keep it soft, keep it supple. And taking just a few more rounds before we complete this breathing practice. It's an incredibly traditional breathing practice in preparation for more complex pranayama. But I always come back to it. I love it. It really helps me notice where there's restriction and blockage in the breath and how to gently come into a fuller breath without force. And to really feel the breath in the body. So we embody prana, we embody life force, we embody the energy of the breath. And taking one more full breath in. And as you breathe out, releasing your hands, and just return now to natural breath. Take your attention away from the sections, all the detail. I'm going to remove the belt. I don't know if anyone else has used a belt. And perhaps everybody here, bring the knees in and slide the feet away for the final few minutes here. Just resting, breathing naturally. Very, very restorative. And in your own time, and there's really no hurry, you're going to bend your knees up and gently roll over to one side. Come right off your bolster and take a rest in a recovery position just for a few breaths, just to settle the back, the spine, the hips. From here, we're going to come to standing. But again, there's no hurry. We'll be using these props a little bit later. I wonder if anybody feels like getting up. It's quite tempting to stay on the bolster, but let's come up for a bit. Maybe take your feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart. So we've had a long rest and we're not coming into any energetic movement, but I'd like us to really find our ground here through the feet. We're going to move very gently into all of the joints. So we'll start with the neck, all the vertebrae of the neck. You can gently drop your chin to your chest. And then the right ear and the right shoulder. Take your head gently back and bring your left ear to your left shoulder. And then down again. And then come the other way, start coming to the left. All the way around to the right. Chin comes down to the chest. And then come to the right. Simply feeling into this gentle movement in the neck. Continuing from side to side in your own time. all the while completely grounded through your feet. Should be really delicious. Gentle rinsing through of all the tension and tiredness you might have accumulated during your week. And if you're not feeling tired, it's still a refreshing, lubricating, oxygenating movement for this very sensitive part of the body. And then next time your chin is down to your chest, gently lift your head. Lovely. And we'll take a little bit of looking over each shoulder. So gently with your eyes, moving your head, look all the way over the right shoulder. Doesn't matter if the left shoulder comes with you, a gentle twist. And then come back to the center. And with your eyes, begin to move the head to the left. And when you've gone as far as you can go, the right shoulder joins in. Come into a little twist. Moving gently from side to side here. Very gentle, first rotating in the neck. And then encouraging the shoulders and the ribs, the chest to move around as well. One more time to each side. Lovely. And then come back to center. Beginning to circle in your wrists. Nothing complicated here. You could imagine that you have a pocket of air in each joint as you come to it. You're just feeling through your fingers, the palms, the back of the hands. And then we'll circle in the opposite direction. Lovely. And then rest your arms. And imagine that pocket of air in your shoulder joints as you begin to roll the shoulders up to your ears and back again and forwards. You could bring your arms into this movement to accentuate the articulation in the shoulder socket. So it's not difficult, of course, to do this, but it would be very easy to make it very mechanical and automatic. But what happens if you really notice where there's restriction and where there's freedom in the movement, where there's pleasure? And then take those shoulder circles in the opposite direction, feeling into the ribs as you go. Wonderful. Taking a moment to rest. We'll bring our attention to our hips and just begin to circle the hips now. Gentle circle. Feeling the weight move from foot to foot. And then taking the circles in the opposite direction. So you really begin to bring your attention to the pelvis in this very simple way. It's a very humble practice tonight. Okay, and then standing still again, and we'll try figure of 8 with the hips. If you can't follow that, come back to those hip circles. So just bring your attention to the front right hip and begin to draw a circle in a clockwise direction with the right hip. And the left hip will follow and draw an anti-clockwise circle. So we're spiraling in the spine as we draw a figure of 8 in the hips. And it can really help to begin at least with fingers on the hip crests at the front as you draw this figure of 8. But some of you might like to release the arms so that the arms float. Maybe your ribs and shoulders become involved, your eyes and your head in this spiraling movement. So there's nothing you can do wrong here. We're looking to free the spine up from the pelvis. And breathe and enjoy it. Feel the space around you. And gradually bring yourself to a still point before we try and take that figure of 8 in the opposite direction. So I think some of you know that I was at a retreat once where we did that figure of 8 movement, really involving the whole body for about half an hour. But tonight we're just doing it for a little bit. So begin to take the left hip in the clockwise direction and the right hip will come in an anti-clockwise direction. I find it almost impossible to do. I don't know about you. There we go. Take your time. Feels much more counterintuitive than the other way for some reason. Left hip clockwise, right hip anti-clockwise. I even lose my balance when I go this way. I don't know how you're finding it. Feel that space in the joints, that freedom. Allow the movement to travel through the whole body. Breathe. And gradually come to a still point. Maybe close your eyes and simply feel the vibrancy in the body now, the earth beneath your feet. And then soften the knees, drop your chin to your chest. And we're going to begin to curl our way down. Bone by bone, releasing. This feels so good, releasing into forward fold. Bone by bone, the slower you can go, the better, until you're hanging completely. Soft in all the joints. And take your time. At some point, you'll begin to unfurl, again, bone by bone. And I'm going to leave you just for a few moments to come up and down at your own pace. Everyone will do this differently. And you notice everything. A whole range of sensations. This is absolutely brilliant for the health of your spine. And it may be that you want to stay moving up and down the front of the body. Well, you now have the option coming down the side of the body. Turn your shoulders. I'm turning towards the left because of the camera, but it doesn't matter which side. You allow yourself to drop gently. It won't be so easy to do this. Down the side. Slowly come up again, and then you switch sides. Really heavy in the body. Bone by bone dropping with the force of gravity. If you've chosen to go from side to side, make sure you do an equal number of times on each side. So we end this part of the sequence in equilibrium. Very sensitive to our skin, our bones. When you're all the way up, standing for a few moments, eyes closed or open, to simply feel and breathe. On the next breath in, float your arms over your head. Pause at the top, and as you exhale, open your mouth. So you feel the air on the back of your throat. And continue like this, breathing in, your mouth is closed. So really feeling this very light constriction at the back of the throat, coming into an ujjayi breath. When you're ready, you can feel as if you're breathing out through an open mouth, but close your lips. And see if you continue the breath in and the breath out with that same rush of air over the back of your throat. Sound of the ocean. And stay close to this breath. As you come up and then you exhale and you fold. And you breathe in halfway up. And you use the breath to fold completely, breathing out. And breathe in, come all the way up, pressing through your feet. Hands to your heart, breathe out. Starting again, breathing in. Coming to a halfway up forward fold. Breathing out as you fold completely. Breathing in, come all the way up. And take a couple more rounds without instruction. Ujjayi breath, ocean breath, moving the body in this simple half sun salutation. And when you've finished, I'd like you to stand for a moment, still breathing Ujjayi. Ocean breath, victorious breath. We're going to try to keep this breath going as we come to a seated position of your choice. Steadying yourself into your seat, continue to feel this air on the back of your throat as you breathe in and you breathe out. So really soft in the mouth and the jaw, even though there's a gentle constriction at the back of the throat. And some of you might want to stay like this, following a natural breath, following the Ujjayi. And some of you might like to come to add a count. So I'm going to breathe in for 4. Pause for 2. Breathe out for 4. Pause for 2. Breathe in for 4. Pause for 2. Breathe out for 4. Pause for 2. So you choose the number that works for you, but the ratio is that the pause is half the count of the movement of the inhalation or exhalation. You might recall our breathing practice on the bolster, where we remember that we're expanding to the front, the sides, and the back as we come to this Samavriti pranayama. And I cannot emphasize enough that we're never ever straining the breath. We're never trying to burst or push, but staying within the envelope of comfort and ease in the breath. And continuing with this practice for a little while longer, really intimate, completely absorbed in the count, in the sensation, in the sound of the breath. Noticing what you find in the pause. What's there in that stillness? At the top of each breath in and at the bottom of each breath out. And at some point, the ujjayi will fade away. The count will fade away. You come to noticing a natural breath. And it's possible that the natural breath will feel so light you can barely observe it, can barely feel it. Feather light. Can you bring this stillness, this level of awareness that you may have built now into your practice with you as you gently come to lie on your backs? Knees bent, feet standing on the floor. And allow yourself to really feel the support beneath you, through the soles of your feet. Feel the weight of the sacrum, the back of your pelvis sinking into the mat. Back of your ribs, your shoulders, and the back of your head. And bringing your attention to the back of your pelvis now. And even though this isn't anatomically correct, I want you to imagine the whole of this area of the body as a circle, as a clock face, in fact. So that when I guide you through the movements, we're going to have the numbers of the clock face in mind. So bring your attention to 12 o'clock, which is at the top of the pelvis. So coming up almost to where the sacrum meets the spine. And in your mind's eye, noticing where number 6 is, around the tailbone, let's say. And we're going to gently rock from 12 to 6. And then we gently rock from 6 to 12. So those of you who come to my regular weekly classes, this is a simple pelvic tilt. But it helps to visualize the numbers sometimes, to really allow this access of movement and a gentle curling of the lower vertebrae of the spine away from the mat as you roll down to 6, and a repositioning of those vertebrae against the floor as you roll back to 12. And then keep going. So some of you may find this movement very isolating or isolated. Some of you may notice, especially if you're really soft in the whole body, that the movement that you initiate on the clock face travels through the body, maybe even to the top of your head. Notice changes in sensation in the soles of your feet. And in this somatics or Feldenkrais type practice, less is more. We're not trying to get anywhere or push anything. We're actually mapping movement to neurological pathways. We're connecting the brain and the body in a very soothing, safe and restful way. And then come to rest. And bring your attention to 3 and 9 on your clock face. And this might feel a little less straightforward as you move horizontally across the pelvis from 3 to 9. And I find it helps to press a little into the right foot as I come over to 9. Releasing, press into the left foot as I come over to 3. Actually, I meant that the other way around. I'm so sorry. My 3 and 9 are mixed up. The point is that you're including the step of your foot, your footprint, in the movement across the pelvis. Staying very close to minute movement, and just breathing naturally. And then coming to rest. And then we're going to attempt going in a clockwise direction around the clock face. So you gather your attention around the 12 and then move to the 3, to the 6, to the 9, back to the 12. So we're circling around the pelvis. If you've never done this before, it's bound to feel a little bit difficult, a little bit odd. But it really helps to keep in mind the clock face as you move, and you don't be shy about pressing into your feet or using the rest of the body to help you find the circle. And then rest before we come in an anti-clockwise direction. And when you're ready, move from 12 to 9 to 6 to 3. And this movement, this clock face movement, can have a really fantastically soothing and releasing effect on the whole of the pelvis and the hips, but also the way in which the spine and the legs are connected via the pelvis. So I'm being a little bit hybrid tonight, a little bit cheeky and mixing traditions from yoga, pranayama, restorative poses, and somatic Feldenkrais movements. And I'm doing so in a way that is intuitive. It's what I feel would be good. It's not necessarily going to meet everybody in the same way. Okay, and then when you next come to your 6, you can stop and slide the feet away now and feel the whole body long. Feel the whole body releasing towards the floor. And then bending your knees up again and rolling over to one side so that the palms of your hands are together, your head is on the floor. If you need to place your head on a blanket, do, and your knees are stacked. And I actually want you to roll onto your forehead as you slide the right hand beyond the left. So moving my right arm's on top of the left. You're moving that right shoulder, right knee, the forehead. And then from there, very lazily begin to draw the right shoulder back. Come on to the back of your head. And we're going to be very lazy and roll to the other side. Back of the head, side of the head, the forehead, and the left arm slides. This is all you're going to do. Very slowly, initiating with each shoulder as you roll from side to side. Super slow. And it may be that rather than your feet together, your knees stacked. I've found that my feet have widened, and that is better for this movement from side to side. The knees flop in. So it's very, very delicate spiraling in the spine as we also release in the shoulders and in the pelvis still. Massaging the head as we go. Taking a few more rounds slowly, like seaweed or pondweed, with the currents of water moving you intuitively as you feel you need the movement in the body. At some point, allowing yourself to settle flat on your back. And you again could do that movement for much, much longer than we did. It's just enough to perhaps find freedom in the whole skeleton now. And we're going to come to our first yin pose. Some of you might have been wondering when that was going to happen. And it will be Bananarasana. So I'd like you to line the whole body up against the right side of your mat. And just make sure you start off in a straight line. And float your arms over your head. And begin to shuffle your feet around to the left, as far as they'll go without the right hip lifting. And then shuffle your head, your shoulders, your arms around to the left. So you're creating a banana shape. And you'll all be different. Some of you might want to take the right ankle over the left ankle, like a little hook. And some of you might want to take hold of the right wrist with the left thumb and forefinger. And ever so gently ease into a slightly deeper curve here. And we're going to stay for 3 minutes. And I want you to really drop into the right shoulder, drop into the right hip. So you allow yourself to become absorbed in sensation down the right side of the body, and you breathe into the right lung. This is a fantastic lateral bend for the spine, a lateral flexion for the spine. Keep dropping into that right hip. Keep dropping into that right shoulder. And soften the face as you breathe naturally. There should be no strain, no pain, but possibly more intense sensations than you felt in the other movements we've been doing. So we're really accessing the fascia, the connective tissue, all the way up the right side of the body, side of the hip, the side waist, the side of the ribs. Breathe. Stay with the breath. Stay with the sensation. And take a full breath in. And on the breath out, release your ankle, release your wrist. And slowly recreate a straight line with your body. Look down at your toes, bring your arms by your sides. And take a moment here. Possibly feeling quite different in each side of the body. And then bringing your body over to the left side of your mat, just so that you can find that straight line. Arms over your head. And beginning to shuffle your feet to the right, as far as they'll go without the left hip coming off the mat, or the left buttock. And then shuffling your shoulders and head around to the right as well. Maybe take your left ankle over the right. Maybe take hold of your left wrist with the right thumb and forefinger. So we're not yanking anything, but there's an easing open now of the left side of the body, dropping that left hip and left shoulder towards the floor. And your head can just rest in whatever angle is comfortable for you. And we take 3 minutes now on this side. Keep dropping into the body. There's nowhere to go. And stay with the breath, stay with sensation. Breathe. Staying very close to any sensation that is arising for you. And taking a full breath in, and on the breath out, gently releasing, bringing yourself back into a straight line and noticing that you are, checking that you are in a straight line, arms by your sides. And observe how you feel now. Observe the quality of your breath. Observe the floor coming up to meet you. And we're going to slowly move into a restorative pose. Just rolling over to one side, bringing yourself up just enough to be able to grab your bolster. Take the brick or whatever you're using under the head of it to elevate it. Take a blanket over the end of it. We're going to come into a child's pose, restorative style. So taking your knees as wide apart as they'll go, and your groin is coming right up to the end of the bolster. You're not sitting on the bolster. you're lying the front of your body down, and then you rest on one cheek. And we're going to stay 10 minutes here. So it's going to be up to you. You figure out where you rest your arms so that your shoulders can let go. You might want to cover yourself in a blanket. I can see Bonnie's got a hot water bottle. It'd be really nice to have, I'd love a hot water bottle now in my lower back. Sarah, I thought you were getting up to bring me a hot water bottle then. If only. And then settle into this simple, beautiful restorative pose. Letting everything go really heavy. And for some people, the simplicity is the challenge. The mind goes a little bit hyperactive as there's no stimulation here. But then gradually, if you become super curious, super interested in the skin, the way in which your body lets go and trusts the support beneath you, there's a way to turn deeply inwards and rest in a pose like this. There's nothing to do. What do you need to do to, well, there is something to do. You can ask yourself what needs to happen in your brain and your body for you to be able to let go a little bit deeper, to drop just a little bit more. Stay close. Feeling the simplicity of your breath. Resting deeply. You can turn your head the other way to rest the other cheek down. Stay with the breath. Maybe feeling yourself dropping and resting a little bit deeper as you let go, layer after layer. Stay with the breath. You feel your skin softening. Maybe even come to a sense of your body breathing with the space around you through the whole of your skin boundary. Your skin breathing. Like a delicate lung distributed over your whole body. And if you like to turn your head so that your forehead is pressing into your bolster, just for a moment or two here, neutral neck. And placing your hands underneath your shoulders on the floor so that you can push ever so gently and you come up really super slow because we've been down here a long time. And keep your chin all the way into your chest. Don't lift your head at any point. And then when you're all the way up, take your right middle finger and forefinger and lightly take the pads of the fingers in between the eyebrows and use the fingers to bring the head back up to vertical. Just take a moment or two here, straight spine, to notice how you feel. We're going to take a final breathing practice before relaxation. So again, coming to sit in a way that is comfortable for you. Just need to have your spine coming straight up out of the pelvis. And we're going to practice Brahmari. Some people say, or Brahmari, it's bee breath. It's a really beautiful way of creating space and clarity in the head and of using sound. So I just want you to become aware of these flaps of cartilage. The name of them always evades me. I can never remember what they're called. But anyway, just become aware of these flaps of cartilage in the ears, because you're going to use your thumbs to close these flaps into the ears so you shut sound out. And then you're going to bring the rest of your fingers around the skull when we start. So let me explain. In fact, I'll demonstrate because not everybody here has done this breath before. So you could have your hands ready and you take a breath in. Pause at the top of the breath in, close the flaps, and then you hum your breath out. And because you've closed the flaps of your ears, the whole of your head reverberates with sound. It's one of my favorite things. So we're going to do 6. So you know that because I can't hear you. You're just going to know that when you've taken your 6th humming breath, you drop your hands and you just come to natural breath, okay? So we're preparing. Lovely. Taking a full breath in. Pausing as you close the flaps of your ears. And we're going to do one more variation of Brahmari, which is Tibetan Brahmari. Slightly different. Most of you do this with me in class. So you bring your palms together in front of the heart space. Again, I'll demonstrate one and you can join in when you're ready, but I'll just demonstrate one and then we'll do 6 together. So you take a breath in, you gather your attention into the heart space. And then you chant the syllable ah As you take your fingers up your face, ah, you take the syllable ooh as you bring your hands over. And then close the flaps of your ears. Mm, mm. So it's ah, ooh, It's actually the whole of the mantra om, ending in Brahmari, ending in the So we'll take 6 and then we'll come down and rest. Breathing in. When you've finished your practice, it may feel just right to stay sitting for the final 3 minutes, or you might like to come and lie flat on your backs, possibly with your knees over a bolster. Allowing the body to breathe itself. And of course, you may want to continue in a meditation or in a relaxation. I'm going to leave you now. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you have a beautiful evening and rest of your bank holiday weekend. Namaste.